design briefing in a newsroom with we have the major stakeholders over here. Well, we're a team now, and I thought we'd go to one of those design briefings. So we step into the office of the editor-in-chief, and he says, well, we want this new design, and it should have, well, we want people to read the entire article. Read the entire article and have a working remote control. Yes. No. Okay, we want people to read the entire article. We want them to stay on site for as long as possible. But we also want them to click on the ads and swipe the image gallery. That's important for conversion. We want them to watch the video and follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Oh no, Facebook changed their algorithm. What are we supposed to do? Oh wait, sign up for email newsletters. That's really good right now. And we want UX. Yes, please, we want some UX. And we want a personalized algorithmic newsfeed. We also, but think about that, our editors, they know best what should be published and when, so ask them about everything. We want logged-in users, ad impressions, and minimalism. But we, as a company, have a really big personality, so can you put that in the design as well? And yes. And we want it done by yesterday. Whew. I don't know if it's only in, well, of course, this isn't the case in only news industry, but yeah, that's also why we love it. I'm Unn Swanstron. I'm a UX designer. You can tweet at me there. I work at a design firm called Doberman, based in Stockholm and New York. And these are some of my clients. Right now I'm working on a smart home for Telia and making one of Sweden's largest apps. And yeah, when you work with these big clients, how do you go from that design brief to great design that everyone is going to love? How do you do it? Well, I see design this way. Because all of us here are problem solvers. We want to help our users with things. We want to optimize. And when we're problem solvers, we need two things. Or every problem solving needs two phases. You need the open, curious, humble phase, where you do things like talk to the client, talk to users, go out there, search for inspiration, and you talk to all your organization. You ask your tech teammates, what should we do? What can we do? But then, after you've been out there taking all this in, the next important step is to close the door. Close ourselves off as a creative team. Because you know what? Creativity is a really delicate process. And this process needs us to feel safe with each other. And that's way easier if we have times to ourselves. When we can think, do, experiment, and challenge each other. If you can't challenge each other's ideas, how will they get better? And you need to be united when you meet your stakeholders. So creativity and problem solving has to go through these phases. And you go first, you go out, then you go in, then you go out again to test a little bit more. So we call this lab mode, or thinking like a mad scientist. And as you heard in the previous talk, this is nothing new. That right there is Tesla. And that is his sign, says, great danger, keep out. You need this space to test crazy ideas in order to get something that's really new and really innovative. So, that road should be kind of like this. And we think that you should go by tested, throwable trigger material. You should prototype, or as we call it, provocatype, because you want what you test to really evoke some emotion with your users. Go extreme. You can always dial back later. But yes, go everywhere. Say things like, "Oh, this would never work. Let's try it." And this is probably a really bad idea, but let's do it. Because you know what? IDEO, some say they, whatever, you know IDEO, or Google them. They're great. So they say that when a team iterates on 4 or 5 or more different solutions, they are 50% more likely to launch a successful product. 50% more likely. That's way better. So let's look at 4 of my favorite experiments and some of their outcomes. Start straight away. Setting design limitations. Creativity is weird. I mean, imagine we're in a brainstorming session right now. You all have a little pad of Post-its in front of you, and we're doing individual brainstorming. So I would ask you, we're designing a new service. I would ask you to write down on your little notebook a service that should be for only people who are on the subway going to work. What would that be? Shoot. And then, after 1 minute, I would ask you, okay, so now we're making a new service for people who are only on the bathroom, on their throne. What would that be like? I mean, they come there regularly. It might be a good option to poke them with news at that point. But it gets your creative juices flowing. Or maybe a news service for people who are sitting with friends having dinner. Write down, what would that be? See how your brain starts to go in different directions? What do I need when I'm at dinner? Something to talk about. What if I'm out playing Pokemon Go? My screen is occupied. What would a news service be for them? Then start with the data you have and ask questions. Look into your analytics and go what can we change? What can we optimize? It's a big treasure chest of stuff. For instance, when I was at Expressen, it's one of the top news agencies in Sweden. Okay, let's read this article. It's about a singer, and it's swiping the image gallery. Okay, scrolling down. What's happening? This is about Carola. She won the Eurovision Song Contest way back when. Oh no, she's been in a boating accident. She was wearing a skirt. Okay, right, okay, it's done. I'm at the bottom. Oh, what's that? Came down from, and I'm in another article. Did you see what happened there? We found that most readers actually never get to the bottom of the article. And that's where all the recommendations are. That's where we stick them all. So what could we do to improve that? Well, we found that when most people, when they're done, they kind of scroll up to see if they miss anything. And when they scroll up, we had that little recommendation box come down. And this really improved conversion for users coming from Facebook. So put your recommendations where your user can see them. Okay, and this is the example we're not doing. Sorry about that. Very interesting. Yep. Okay, and fire. Sorry about that. Okay, so always, always, always iterate. And you should always be iterating, even on the things that you think are really good. This looks like a pretty best case sign up for email newsletter scenario, right? Well, maybe it could be even better. This is when I was at Mike, and we're scrolling through an article, and what you can see happening here is any minute now. There we go. Instant subscribe. I wonder what that is. Oh, let's try clicking it, and what happens? Whoa, it opens your email client. And I just have to send that email to end up on the subscribers list. What? And I'm straight back into the article? Huh, that's pretty handy. And you know what? That's the code for it. It's a mail to button. So simple. You remember those mail to buttons that you're so annoyed by on desktop? Well, it turns out on mobile, they work really well because there, almost everyone has a predefined email client. And it was 3 times as good as that form where I had to put my email in myself. So always, always try to find smart solutions where you're already doing pretty good. So, do we have the right KPIs? This is always good to ask your team and have this talk with your product owner. Because in the big news organizations worldwide, this is normally what you're measured by. It's page views, unique browsers, and number of visits. And these decide how much you can charge for your ads. So, but you know what these numbers don't really catch? These people, the confused, the angry, the frustrated. See, if somebody doesn't understand your navigation, what are they going to do? They're going to click everywhere, click everything, looking around frantically. But that's going to look good in your stats. But eventually, they won't come back because they find your site confusing, and number of visits will go down, and money goes bye-bye. So don't stare blindly at one metric. Try to figure out what's behind it. Another all-time favorite KPI for many product teams is time spent. When people spend time on our site, they are happy, they are liking our service, right? Right? That's always the case? Well, actually, this is usually the global standard for section pages on a news site. They all have a little different colors and their own individual feel. Somebody got a little bit too creative with the article pages and decided to put the section color onto all the URL links. Ooh, can you see what's happening here? Well, what do you think happened in the stats? Time spent went up, but scroll depth went down. So people were spending more time reading less. And we even got emails about it. This user saying, hi, why are you making all the important words light gray? It's impossible to speed read now. Yeah. So it is your job. Doesn't matter what position or what your title is. It's your responsibility to make sure that you test usability and accessibility. Just do it, please. So, many people ask, how soon what is the time to market? But I prefer asking, how soon can we prove this concept? What is the smallest amount of work I need to do to be able to talk about an idea? So that we then can iterate. And this is a case where we were making a personal development app. So we were starting afresh. We didn't have any users, we didn't have any data. We were starting from zero. So this is where you start. Super crude sketches. Super crude scenarios. And the great thing about this level of design is that everyone can join. Because everyone can write a squiggly phone on a paper, and talk about a scenario, a problem that we want to help our users with. And just having it on this basic level means that we, as a team, can come together and talk about an idea, and we all see the same thing. So then you iterate. This can go really fast. This can be just a couple of minutes work, and you can talk about an idea. Then you can move on. The next step is to make a clickable prototype. These designs are not beautiful. I went to a color picker online and went generate, took 3 colors and 2 fonts, and then I had design. Why? Because I wanted to go fast. So these are the 4 different versions that you want to iterate on. Try 4 different things, and these are for personal development. So the first one is a mentor that asks you about your feelings. The second one is a group chat that you have with your friends, where you together can talk about how was your day, how are your feelings. Third one is a poker room for, where you can have a group therapy session online. And the fourth one is how can we talk about how can we improve real conversations that we are having at a table? So it was like a phone you had between you. And then we test. Talk to the users. You know how you can notice that you've learned something during your rounds of interviews? This is Eric right there in the middle, and on the left picture, it's the first day of interviewing. On the other picture, it's the last day of interviewing. See how his face has changed? That pained facial expression, that's learning. Because you will have to deal with some insights that you probably didn't want, and you will have to kill your darlings when you go into the next phase, which is some more testing. We had this idea that we thought would work. It's about logging your feelings and becoming aware of where you've been that day emotionally. But we wanted to put some cool AI and analysis on it. But how could we do that? That sounds really expensive. It's going to take a long time to gather the data. Can we test this without building anything? It turns out we could. We actually told the team to log their feelings in Facebook Messenger. Take a picture of yourself, send it to yourself to test if this would give us any value, logging your feelings this way. And it turned out that it didn't. Nobody in the team actually wanted to log their feelings. It felt like too much effort. So if not even the core team wants to use this product, don't do it. You've just learned something. So by testing in Facebook Messenger, we didn't have to build anything, but we still had a lot of learning. So try to figure out, is there a way that you can learn with low cost? And then we got this. This is the end result. And now it looks way better. Now we've spent time doing graphic design. Now we have, the bot element is still there asking you questions, but the focus has changed. And so don't spend time making it pretty before you know what you're actually making. Because beautiful design can trick anyone into believing that this is a fantastic product. So only do enough to test the core idea of what you're doing. So these are 4 of my favorite experiments and a little sneak peek of something that we could talk about tonight at the party. So, where do you start? How do you start climbing Mount Everest? Well, you take one step. That first step, what are you going to do on Monday that will make you better at your job? That will make your work environment better? How can you start to encapsulate that, go out and talk to users, then lock the door with your team? Is there one little thing that you could do? Well, a while back, I figured out that I don't know analytics. In order for me to have data, I need to know analytics. So I went and found the analytics person at our company and bought them expensive coffee. And I just camped out there until they would teach me something about analytics, until we started to work together. Because you know what? I'm always like in this pink bubble. I have the qualitative data. I'm a UX designer. And I've been asked talking to users, like I've done that. I have that data. But I need the quantitative data. Because you know what? It's when you have both, then you know for sure what you should be doing. Thank you so much.